Hey, how's it going, everybody? Hope you're doing well. Welcome back to another week. What is going on over here? Ignore that. Good morning. We're early. We're changing the format slightly, temporarily. Not muted. Come on, Bacon. Come on. Who do you take me for? A non-professional? Well, if you did, you'd be right, because that's how it works. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. He checks. Yeah, I check now. Now that I don't have Jace, I have to keep track of everything. But yeah, welcome to the weekly dev stream. We start early again this week, and I think we're gonna keep this going for a little bit, at least while we play the game. Essentially, that's what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna play the game and keep going and keep trash talking the game. It'll be fun, I guess. The reason why we're doing this is because time for me, we're like rescheduling a little bit, and I find that right now I don't have time to like prepare for the stream the same way that I did before when it was both me and Jace. So what we're doing now is like same thing. Like the whole point of the stream is still to like hang out and hang out with you guys and answer any questions you might have and give you state of dev, but in a less like formal way for now. But I will still give state of dev. I think what we're gonna do today as well is I think at like 4 when we usually kick off the stream originally, we'll like do a revamp of now. Like we'll restart the stream essentially. So I'll do another state of dev, which will be the same for people who tune in now essentially. But what do you mean formal? Shut up. Yeah, talk about what's going on and play the game, answer any questions you guys have. As a good like little experiment, today, just to make sure that I don't miss people's questions when I'm playing the game. Like, people can ask me questions whenever they want, and I'll still read them in chat when I see them, right? But I formalized things a little bit more today. So let's see if this works. I should add this command in the title as well. So I've added this was actually an idea from Greenie on Discord, to have a QA page essentially where you can post any questions you want, and it'll just be questions on that page. It's like a slide. It's like usually for presenters, so like you can have audience participation and they can like write down questions and you can answer them. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna try it out and see if it works or if people abuse it or you know what happens. But I think it'll be a good way to like sort of make sure that I'm on track now that it's just me, because usually when it's both me and Jace in the past, we've been quite good at like making sure that we don't miss things and like filter out stuff like this. So I'm gonna put that work on you guys, okay? So like that link is available whenever. You can post as many questions as you want. Please don't spam, of course. Don't abuse this, okay? Let us have a good thing going, right? So, and then like as we play the game and I hang out here, I'll take like moments where I'll just like go through all the questions that have popped up and make sure that those get answered. So we don't end up, because I feel like when we do these streams where I'm playing the game, like I feel like we lose out a little bit of people might feel like either ignored or like, you know, don't get like I feel like I might miss questions as well. So I'm trying this out just to make sure, and I have a bot running that should like remind people that this is going on. And you can post questions in chat too. Like it's not as if like I'm only going to answer questions on that site. It's just a way for me to make sure that I don't miss questions. So like if you're in chat and you're posting questions and you want questions answered and you feel like he's never getting around to me, well, either because maybe it's a question I can't answer, but usually I'll tell you if I can't answer your question, like for whatever reason, unless it's lewd. No. It's just to make sure that like I don't miss out on what's going on, because like when you're playing a game and you're doing a show like this, your mind's in two different places. It's hard to keep track of it. So this is just like one way for me to try and keep track of that stuff, because I don't want to miss out on, I don't want people to feel like they don't have an opportunity to engage with us in this way that we've had before in the past, right? So that's what we're doing. Trying it out, see if it works. I'm probably going to add that in the title too. Hold, please, because otherwise it might not be clear. Wait, where am I? Oh, I was on the right page. Never mind. Actually, I might replace dupe. Yeah, sure. Oop, move it over there. Now it's a command. Doesn't look weird in the VOD. I made a video last week. I don't know if you guys have seen the video, but I addressed sort of where Update 8 is going right now and what we plan to do, both on an experimental branch, but also on the early access branch that we have, the stable branch. So I'm gonna give you guys a quick rundown of the video first, and then give you guys a little bit of an update, just a little bit of an update. So yeah, essentially the plan going forward right now with Update 8 is we have a patch coming out this week on experimental. We're actually going to be testing this branch, live playtesting on stream. What could possibly go wrong? I've already had the game crash once and I was playtesting and I was like, ah, shit, this is not happening. But then I played a little bit more and I was like, kind of works. All right, let's do it. So we're gonna move over to the experimental branch this week. I know I said last week that I'm probably not going to do that because of stability. The main reason why we didn't play on the stable branch or on the experimental branch last week is because for some reason my hardware, I'm one of those people that have I have great hardware compared to what I have at home, but the game runs so much better on Update 8 at home than it does on my computer at work. And I don't know if this is like a combination of the graphics card, whatever drivers I have installed. I don't know what it is. Like why it was so strange. I just got like super bad performance on my computer I'm on right now. But I'm happy to say that we have a patch coming out this week on experimental, and that patch will have a lot of work that's gone into Update 8 in terms of solving these performance issues. And on my work computer, it is day and night. Like it's so much better. I had a save file that I was testing with that it was a pretty chunky save file from community that I got, and I had like 140 milliseconds on average with that one. And then now I tested it with today's patch, which we're gonna try out today, and it ran at like 6 milliseconds, which is really good. 16 milliseconds is 60 FPS, by the way, just to convert it to you guys. So it showed a lot of promise. I'm not going to say that like this patch will solve all the performance issues, because that we won't know that until we actually put it on the experimental branch. But our internal testing has shown that it's very, very promising, and it solved a lot of issues. It's still not solved. It hasn't solved all the issues though. The biggest hurdle still left is some of the there are some like graphics card related crashes that still happen. And the only way, well, it's not the only way, but the best way for us to solve this is to update the engine to 5.2. We're on 5.1 right now, and there's a lot of work that Epic have done to solve these like graphics card related crashes. So once we update to 5.2, we hopefully most of those issues will be solved. But that won't happen in the near future because we're doing another engine update. Takes a lot of effort. There's also a couple of other systems that we want to merge into like our how do you call it, like our main branch that we're working on for the game. And it makes more sense to do it now than later, because these are systems that have needed to come in. It's mostly like refactoring. One of the systems, and I actually didn't talk about this in the video, but one of the systems is our online subsystem, which for you guys, you won't see a change, but for us, it's a huge improvement in how that online subsystem works. The online subsystem, say that fast 3 times, holy shit, is used for managing some of the online hooks that we use for the game. And this is stuff with like, you know, creating sessions, being able to like connect with people. It won't solve, I know there are some like online session connectivity issues that people are running into. It won't solve any of that, unfortunately. That's future work, but it will make it way easier for us to work with that system. And it also future-proofs that system, because with system we've used before, like the system we are right now, that system hasn't changed since launch, essentially. It's been the same online subsystem since then. And it's like a weird, like kind of ad hoc solution that we've done for a lot of stuff because we were working on it. EOS, like Epic's online service, you know, that's like the first initial version of all the hooks for that system as well. And then we had the Steam integration come into that on top of that. So it's like a weird, it was in a weird state for a long time. So we decided we're going to rework that system. And that's what we've been doing for a long time. And now is the best time to merge that system in. That system is still not fully ready. So like we'll need to fix all the last stuff for that. And then we also have the engine update merge that goes down on top of that. So those two systems are quite big and they're clashing a little bit. So we need to sort that stuff out, which is why you're not going to see many patches on experimental the next couple of weeks. All right. So that's the situation right now. There's one patch coming out this week, hopefully, if nothing's wrong with this build. It seems very promising. So that patch will have a lot of stuff that I talked about in the video. It won't have everything that I talked about in the video. Specifically, it won't have the 5.2 fixes with the crashes. It also won't have that new online subsystem. There's a couple of other things as well. I also mentioned briefly in the video about like this Chaos physics engine. Chaos is the name of the physics engine, the new one that we're using in Unreal 5. There's an issue in that in the physics engine that Epic will need to solve. They don't have an ETA on when they will be able to solve that. We hope that we can get it somehow in update 8. But we have a temporary solution for now that seems to solve a lot of this issue in terms of performance, at least. But we want to get that like real solution from Epic. So yes, that's the TLDR essentially, is that we have, and I think this has been maybe a little bit confusing, and it was confusing to me too when I was making the video, and I was trying to make it as clear as possible. And I think most people understand and are on board sort of what's going on. But essentially, we have a patch coming out on experimental. It will solve a lot of performance stuff. We will also add DLSS and XESS, which is Intel's solution. DLSS. Also, a lot of people asking, it should be DLSS 3, like the full version for 3 DLSS. I don't know exactly how that works, because there's some way for people to set what version of DLSS they'll be using. And I think if you don't have support for DLSS 3, it will revert it to DLSS 2. I think it's only like the 40 series cards that have DLSS 3 support anyways. And on some 40 cards, you might even see it automatically switch to 2. Maybe. We'll see. We haven't been able to test DLSS 3, I think, because I don't think we've had hardware, or maybe we have, I don't know. So we'll see. But I guess we'll get that feedback from you guys, essentially. But I believe the setting for like which version of DLSS you're using, that's set in the NVIDIA control panel. So it's like outside of the game, because we don't really have any control of that as far as we can tell. And then, yes, FSR is in the works later down the line. So in this patch, DLSS will be available, XESS will be available, FSR will be in the future. I think the plan is to have FSR be available in Update 8 on the stable branch, like once it gets out, if we have time to fix it. But the plan is to have FSR in the future. Actually, one thing that I also want to bring up today is something that I'm kind of like hesitant to bring this up as well, but I kind of feel like this is a good opportunity to talk about this too, is in Update 8, we've set it so that when you go on the ultra and higher settings for the game, we enable DLSSR by default and a TSR as well. Like we're enabling the upscaling algorithm. For those who don't know what this is, by the way, this is just like a way the way it works is it's an upscaling algorithm. DLSS is based on like deep learning. So to figure out like how to upscale images better. TSR is an algorithm. And FSR is also deep learning, question mark. I'm not 100% sure how that one works. I haven't read up too much about that one. But essentially what it does is it makes it possible for you to render the game at a lower resolution, and then you upscale it for your screen, essentially. And the way we have it set in the game right now in the options menu is when you use the higher like settings, we assume that people are playing on like, you know, a higher spec machine where maybe they want to take advantage of all the other cool, you know, graphics, the nice looking graphic stuff that is available, and having an upscaling algorithm in place alleviates a lot of that like graphics work. So right now we have it set by default that upscaling is on. I think we're also looking a bit at like how other games have done this, and there's some confusion as to like what an upscaler does, because I think a lot of people will just see like because when you're using an upscaler you can run into artifacting, and I think a lot of people that don't know how this works might see the artifacting and just feel like the graphics are bad, but in the case of for them it's more like, no, you just don't like the artifacting that are sort of a, you know, byproduct of using this technology. So like in a lot of cases maybe you don't want to use DLSS, or maybe you don't even need to use DLSS. But we find that, and the recommendation that we've gotten from Epic is that it's better to have it on by default, because most people will never touch the options menu and like fiddle with that stuff. Instead we try to rely more on like benchmarking tools, which we will in the future, but those are never going to be perfect. So, and we're debating a little bit back and forth whether we should have DLSS and FTSR on by default, or if we should rather have people go into the menu and change it. And the scare for us is if we don't have it by default in the menu, we're scared that there might be a lot of people that might get way better performance out of Satisfactory, but they won't know where to look, and they won't know that like that might actually be a huge that setting in particular might have a huge impact on their performance. So for now, we're going to keep it as default and let people give us your feedback on what you think about this. If we see a lot of people complain about the artifacting, then maybe we'll change our minds. But for now, it feels better to like have it on and by default. Make an info box in the menu. It's weird though to just have like an info box about this specifically, because there can be many things that could impact people's performance. And the key thing that Epic told us too is like they found that most people don't even open the options menu. They just play the game on like shitty settings, which I find strange, but apparently that's how it works, or that's what they see. So we'll see what we do there. Yeah, so see, that's another good point here, because it depends a lot on the game and its demographic, right? There's a couple of new games that came out that actually we saw a couple complain about, you know, that ghosting and artifacting stuff, but those games are way more fast-paced and they're more like action type games. I think in our case, you don't really notice a lot of the ghosting and the artifacting. We're also using TSR, by the way, and TSR has way more ghosting and artifacting than DLSS have. But even with TSR, I haven't personally seen too much of that. Also, when I'm watching streamers, I don't see a lot of people react to it. There are a couple of buildings that are very, like, you notice it on certain buildings. The fuel generators, the like pistons that move back and forth, those definitely create that ghosting effect. And like the Mark V belts also have like pretty noticeable ghosting. Yeah, on belts, and yeah, exactly. And that's also something we had to fix to be able to have this technology at all, because it used to be way worse. like everything moving in the game that were part of like the building logic, it would have an insane amount of ghosting. That was one of the reasons why we didn't implement DLSS before, was because that shit was nuts. And then when TSR came, we were like, all right, let's actually implement some of it. And then we put a lot of work into implementing TSR because we felt that that had a huge improvement. And then we realized like the step to DLSS from TSR isn't that big in terms of what we need to do. So we took that leap essentially. And now the next step to the FSR is just like implementing the interface, I think. So yeah, we'll see. This will be this is a hot topic for some reason. I don't know why like this particular topic is so discussed. I think partly it's because like it's new technology, so people are like, oh, new technology, but don't really like know all the implications of it. It's strange for game developers that so many people are talking about DLSS. I'll tell you that much, because at the end of the day, it's just an upscaler. Like, well, it's cool technology, but it is an upscaling algorithm essentially. It's not magic. But people care very deeply about it. People have been super pissed off at me sometimes when I've talked about this stuff, which I find amazing. But that's fine. People can be very compassionate about anything really. So not to talk negative about that stuff. It's just I'm just amazed that people. Yeah, I feel like most people don't understand what DLSS does, apart from like the fact that it's upscaling stuff. But because yeah, like TSR I think is more impressive because it works in a, well, I say that, but I don't know. They're cool. It's cool technology regardless. But it's like fiddle around with it a little bit when update 8 comes out on experimental and see what you feel about it. Actually, I should try it here because I don't have an RTX card at home, but here I do. Is focus out of whack, by the way? Sometimes this camera has a tendency to focus on the mic instead of the face, even though I have face detect, which I don't know, it's kind of weird. Ooh, that's state of dev. Anyways,